Welcome to Season 4 of the Builders Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Levenhagen. This season, we're exploring the human behind the builders, the stories, experiences, and defining moments that shape the people who build great businesses. Builders helping builders. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Tina Larsson. Welcome to the show, Tina.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be on The Builders.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. So Tina is the co-founder of the Folson Group, or otherwise the New York City Co-op and Condo Queen, whatever whatever you want to think of her as. But this is going to be a great show. You've done a lot of things. You've done some hostile takeovers and things like that, which is very exciting. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody that's done the hostile takeover. So that's new. I always like new things. And we're going to talk about your story, your journey, your origin story, how how that all leads up to what you're doing today in the world, doing the awesome things you're doing. So with that, we're going to just throw it to you, and you can go as far back as you want. Just whatever's kind of relevant to, how you've landed where you've landed today, whatever's interesting, not every detail. So just you choose the good details in there and we'll follow along.
Okay. I'll choose to. Thank you so much, Matt. I'm not going to do the boring details, but let me start with one thing.
Okay.
The accent. I'm Swedish. I like to get that out of the way first before anything.
Is that good or bad? I think that's good. You're Swedish? Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I don't think that it matters.
It doesn't. You're here. That's all that matters.
It does come with an accent, and I don't want anybody to sit here and not listen to you and me and wonder where the accent comes from. So there we have it.
Yeah. Well, where are you located? Where are you located in the world right now, though?
I am located in New York City. I have been in New York City for 32 years. And I moved here, started working on Wall Street, went back to school, started working on Wall Street. I was a business analyst on Wall Street.
Wow.
Yes. And for an independent investment advisory firm first. And then my husband and I started our own investment advisory firm together in 2007, just before the financial crisis.
Good timing.
Very good timing.
Yeah.
But that's not why we're here. So why were we here? Well, my husband and I, we bought a co-op in 2004. And for listeners in the rest of the country, a co-op is an HOA. You call it, there are 66 million Americans who live in an HOA. Those, of course, can be individual houses or townhomes or communities. Mm-hmm. And they can also be apartment buildings, like a condo or co-op. In New York City, we call them co-ops or condos. That's the legal structure of them. But a lot of people live in an HOA, so they have very similar situations to our crew.
Awesome. So that's what you're doing today, right? You're still doing that kind of thing.
So what happened was that we thought, so if you live in an HOA, you elect, not everybody in the HOA can make decisions. So therefore you elect a few people, and those few people are the board. If you've ever been to TikTok and listened to HOA 1, I think there's lots of HOA talks, and you will see horror stories.
That's not a good thing always. That's where a lot of horror stories come out of, I assume.
Yes. And so we thought that our board was doing a terrible job. So we got some neighbors together. They agreed with us, and we organized a coup and took over our board 15 years ago.
Wow.
And the goal for that new board, I'm not on the board. My husband is on the board. You can only be one from each unit. And the board's goal was to save money. So we were able to save our building $340,000 in the first 3 years.
Wow.
And in those 3 years, we learned a lot about limitations of volunteer boards, and the property manager who's supposed to act on the volunteer board's decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and why everything takes so long and how difficult it is to do all of that. So 3 years later, after we had our own success, we started our business. And that was in 2014.
Wow. Okay. So let's rewind a little bit.
Yes.
First of all, I want to know how you like, so, so you landed on, what did you say you were doing? Like you were on Wall Street, you were business analyst, something like that?
Business analyst, so an equity analyst and
Equity.
a buy-side analyst and an investment advisor. So the first firm that I started working for in 1996, they said, well, you can't be a financial advisor. And back then they were called portfolio managers. You can't be a financial advisor unless you understand the companies that you're buying. So everybody in the firm, their philosophy was that everybody in the firm had to have an understanding of what they were investing in.
I think that's a good thing.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And some analysts, they're specialized in retail and some specialized in oil companies. I was a general analyst. So I was analyzing the multi-billion-dollar companies, comparing McDonald's to Burger King one day, and I was comparing Chevron to Exxon the next day to see if they were good investments.
Wow.
So when we started looking at the cost in our own building, it was just another industry that I was learning.
I guess so. Right. That's a good foundation. Yeah, for sure. And why is that your thing? How did you went to, like, were you always like interested in, like, did you know since you were like 4 years old that you wanted to be a business analyst and get into analyzing companies and stuff? Or
No,
where does that come from?
I have no idea. I hated. So I grew up on a farm. My dream was to be a farmer, and then they told me I had to get up at 4:00 in the morning and do what I had to do one entire day. And I said, okay, I'm not going to be a farmer.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough life, especially if you're not a morning person.
And then I went on to something else. And then I went on to something else. I wanted to be an air traffic controller. I like to multitask.
Really?
So I wanted to, yes.
Why that? You just like planes and you like to control things, or what?
One of my counselors in high school said, you know what? You're very good at doing many things at the same time. I think you would make a very good air traffic controller. And I'm like,
really?
oh, that sounds good.
I feel like that's not the only asset. Like you should have. You could do many things at once. That can mean different things. That could be good or bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that was that, but I was very young, and then I was in the food and beverage industry. I was in the hospitality industry, and then one day when I was moved to Cairo with the Sheraton, I was in Cairo and I was standing behind the receptionist desk, filling in for someone. I was like an executive management trainee, and all of these American guys in suits showed up. And I'm like, I'm standing here behind the desk getting yelled at by everybody. So I asked them, and their life looked pretty good. I asked them, what do you do for a living? And they said, oh, we're portfolio managers.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's what I want to be.
So you were seeking, you were watching, you were being observant, like what other people like, and try, and like, I want to model myself after that. I want to be that, not getting yelled at over here.
And the hospitality industry, it's also very long hours, and also 6-7 days a week, and also every holiday of the year. And
well, this is very, like, you kind of have to have self-awareness. Like, you are not, it sounds like you were seeking something that was for you, would build the life you envision, and actually the daily life that you envision. You don't want to work endless hours. You don't want to, and that's, I think, and a lot of entrepreneurs are that way. Like, that's how you end up sometimes being one, or being in business for yourself, because you don't want to put up with a lot of stuff that, being told what to do and working long hours and for somebody else. And it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like you were on that path. You weren't afraid to try different things or look at. Let me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been open to try new things. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Burning the bridges or just, as you
No.
go. No, that's a lesson I had to learn early on. Like I would just quit things. Like, get something else going before you quit that thing.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So
That's
then,
that's a good strategy
yeah, yeah,
to continue doing what you're doing while
yeah,
you're setting the next thing up, or
yeah,
planning at least the next thing.
yeah. I wish I would have done that more. Um, so
Okay.
I don't have to worry about it today now, but when I was younger, if I could talk
Okay.
to my younger self, like, calm down. Yes, you can take risk at this time of your life, but maybe a little less risk. um, have more patience. So you're doing that stuff, and then so you ended up. Where'd you go from hospitality to?
To investment advisory, and I went back to school at the same time. So I started
Okay.
school at the same time. So that's why New York was perfect, because that's where finance is, and you can go to school in the city. Very
Ah,
convenient.
yes,
Yes.
very. Yeah. Well, that must have been. That's not an easy thing to do, though. Go to school and work and have a life. But you were tenacious, and you.
Yeah, so
Eh,
that's what I did. And
nice.
then in 2014, we started our business. We still had our financial advisory firm because
Okay.
we weren't, yeah, there was a little bit of, we thought that all co-op and condo boards in New York, they would need us. But we
Mm,
weren't. At the same time, if nobody else is doing what we were planning on doing, help them reduce their expenses, do construction project management and others that support to boards, we went like, if nobody's doing that, there's a reason for it.
mm,
So we don't know how well received it will be and how needed it will be. So it was basically, we did it on the side, and we did it was word of mouth. And my husband joined one networking group, I joined a different networking group, and we were networking always.
mm.
And that's how we built our business. And then in 2019 we started seeing traction.
Really? Okay. So that's. I mean, that's a ways. That's like a number of years that took
Yeah.
to. You're still running the other thing, and then you're doing this on the side and networking and building it and so so you're working for somebody else. And now this is going to be your business. Was there any? What was that transition like? I mean, you've been in business technically, probably studying businesses for years, but there's a difference between studying business and actually running one, right?
Yeah. And big difference.
Yeah.
But when I started working for the investment advisory firm in 1996,
Hmm.
it was a newer firm. It was a bunch of guys who came from a big investment advisory firm, and they were from a big bank, and they started their own firm. They were young. They said, "Oh, we are going to do this ourselves." And, you know,
Yeah. Yes.
so they didn't really have their systems all that together. So
Okay.
even if I never made partner in that firm, they very much treated me, except for
Oh.
the pay. They very much treated me like a partner. So I told them, if I'm ever going to make any money here, I started working there as an unpaid intern, and I wanted big pay, right?
Right.
So I said to them, we need to bring in more assets. If we don't bring in more assets, you're not gonna be able to pay me what I feel that I want to be paid. So therefore, I'm the one who put together a lot of processes and systems for that firm.
Ah.
So
Okay.
I did have a lot of experience with setting up the processes for a functioning company.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
That's
didn't have the financial risk with that firm, but I knew how to set things up. I knew how
right.
to hire. I knew how to fire. I knew how to set up, implement software. So I had done all of that prior.
Okay. That's a good foundation. That's always one of the things too. I love when I see somebody's story and how there's a certain part of your life you're doing something, whether even if it's for others, and then you're no longer doing that thing, but you build on it, or everything you do kind of builds on the last things you've done. And then someday an opportunity comes along where like I can actually use that knowledge in what I want to do in my dreams or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's great. And you were going to school for what? Did just business or for finance?
Initially, I started as finance, but then I realized that. So I went back to school when I was 29.
Mhm.
Very, very quite difficult to go back to school when you have not done homework for a decade, over a decade, right? So, in a different language.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that adds a
And
layer.
this is in the 90s. The internet was a little beginning there, and the dial-up was not very quick. And I actually spent more time with a dictionary, looking up terms in a physical dictionary, than I did on the homework itself,
No
because there were
kidding.
words that I didn't know.
Yeah, I suppose.
So so I started with finance, but then I said to myself, since this was so difficult to start, I need to take my MBA also. So I downgraded my what is it called? My major
Your
to
major, yeah.
business, to general business, because then I could carry over more credits. So I took both my undergrad and my master's in 4.5 years.
Oh wow, wow! You still got it done in 4.5 years. Yeah, all that.
Not a lot of college
No,
socializing.
no, I would imagine not. You weren't hanging out at parties or party houses. Yeah, or the nightlife, all that.
Yeah. No,
That's
none of that.
interesting. Yeah, it is really difficult. Like I had gone to like a semester of college after high school, and I dropped out. I was so confused at, when I was when I was young, I was like, I had one foot in wanting to be an artist and the other foot in wanting to be in business because I liked money. And, and then I dropped out because I didn't know what I wanted to do. It took me years. I actually was an artist for a number of years, struggling artist. And then I went back to school, like, later in my 20s. And I was, after being away from that for a while, it does take a little bit of getting back into, especially when you're still working, you're doing all that stuff. But it's possible. You can do it. My parents did it,
Yeah.
actually. I remember my parents back in the 80s. We were growing up and they went back to school, and my mom got a marketing degree. My dad got business administration, whatever, management. So it is possible to do that later in
It is.
life.
It is. And you have a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
So it's more, it's very different. And as I said, there was no college life. I mean, I
Right.
went there, I did my class, I took my tests, and I
Yeah,
wanted
it's
it out.
different. I suppose when you're young, when you're young, especially right out of high school, a lot of kids, like, and I did this in my first semester. Where's the party? But later on, you're taking life a little more seriously. You've lived life. You have more solidified what you want to do with it. Yeah. So that's interesting. Actually, sometimes I think it's better, go live life a little bit and come back to college and take it more seriously and know what you want to do,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
important. Because when I went back, I still didn't really. Actually, was like, I signed up to do commercial art, and at the last minute, I changed to business because this is something I could use. I will have more flexibility through my life knowing business. And here I am having a business podcast. So it's funny how those things work. Anyway, so that's cool. And so when you started this new business on the side, you pretty much had a pretty good handle on how you were going to set it up and build it, and networking was a really important part of that. So tell me a little bit more about that type of business. I mean, I don't know much about co-ops and all that stuff. So tell us more about that.
Okay. So they are volunteers. Board members are
Yeah.
volunteers. The board is somewhere typically between 5 and 9 members. They have a full-time job. They don't have time. They have very little, typically, technical knowledge. So there's a lot of, you have to do, read engineering reports for roof repairs, for facade repairs, for boiler upgrades, for elevator. So it's very complex things that most board members don't have very much
Yeah, it sounds
knowledge.
like it's like just a random jury picked. Like they're supposed to know how to read specs and oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I could see that going sideways. Yep.
And then
Yeah.
they need to make decisions, but very often they don't have enough information to make them confident to make decisions.
Mm,
So therefore, very often it takes longer.
gotcha.
And then we
Yeah.
have buildings that have to adhere to all of these laws, all of these
Uh,
building safety laws. So I wrote a book actually after the condo collapse in Surfside, Florida, because I said, this is where we want our boards to be, operate proactively, make
oh,
confident decisions.
yeah, yeah.
And that is the ultimate worst case scenario. So how do I write a book that takes how to get there? So it's a guidebook for that.
Interesting. Yeah, that was terrible. The
It
building
was terrible.
collapse.
It was terrible.
And why did that happen? Was it related to just the maintenance of it, or they just weren't following? Like what happened in that instance? Just out of curiosity.
So I'm not an expert on exactly what happened,
Yeah, just
but those problems had been identified over an extended period of time. And the last I read, they expected it based on engineers and stuff to be like $27 million or something like this. So they had postponed making decisions and
um,
making assessments. It's possible, I don't know for sure, but it
yeah,
could probably have been prevented if it was handled
right.
quicker or taken with more urgency.
Yeah, and I imagine like in New York, I mean, thinking of New York, there's a lot of high rises and buildings and I mean
You
that
saw the
condos are
you saw the building, the old Pfizer building on 42nd Street last week, or
yeah,
where
yeah.
the steel beam was bending.
Right. Yes, that's right. That was down there. Oh,
Mhm.
that was one under construction. Was it under construction or was
Yes,
yeah.
yes, it's under construction. They're making an addition. They're building an addition.
That feels like that's something that shouldn't happen today. Like,
No, but apparently they had violations dating back
of course,
to last year. But that's the thing. And why was, if just giving them fines? I mean, why wasn't it addressed?
that should be taken more seriously. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I bet that there will be new laws because of that. But so each time there's a problem, then they come up with a new law to try to prevent that from occurring again. So when
mm,
there was a parking garage collapse in New York City a few years ago, then they started inspecting all the parking garages. Yeah, so now there's a
so a
rotating law.
disaster has to happen before somebody makes any changes and makes
That's typically how.
laws. Yeah,
But these boards, they have to keep up with all of this. They don't have to
right.
know every single thing because they rely on other professionals to inform them.
Okay.
Yes, but
They still have to choose those professionals, I would imagine it.
yes. So we
Yeah.
have the board. They have a full-time job very often, or most of them. They have families, hobbies, and they have little technical knowledge. And then we have the property manager who's hired by the board or the former board, by some board, and they are supposed to act on their decisions. So
Mm,
the board makes decisions, the property manager will inform them, and other professionals will also inform them, but then the property manager is supposed to act on many of those decisions. They also use some outsource firms to act on other decisions or on other things, but yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this void of them not having enough time. So we said, why don't we set up a firm that consults boards to fill that void? And that is basically, so if you think about, EY or PwC, they consult multi-billion-dollar or large Fortune 500 companies
Mhm.
on how to improve efficiencies and
Mm.
how to set up systems, or like yourself, you do certain aspect of setting up systems to make it easier for the stakeholders to make decisions, operate more efficiently, um, provide them with the right information and setting up the
Right.
automation and the tools. That is basically what we do for a portion of what we do.
Interesting. So this all stems from a apartment building that let's talk about the hostile takeover. Like, I think we touched on it, but so what happened there? And is that what sparked the business? Like,
Yes.
this happened to you. This is your experience. You did the
Yeah.
takeover,
We
and
took over the board. The new board said we need to save money because they're wasting our money. And that's
okay,
very often what everybody thinks. It's easy to point at someone else
right,
and say, "Oh, they're doing a terrible job."
of course,
Even if
yeah,
you work for a company,
yeah,
you're like, "Oh, management, they're terrible," or
right,
however. So, um, so we took it over, and the goal for the new board was to save money. So that's when they asked me to analyze the financials.
gotcha.
And
Okay,
so if you think about this, so most boards, they're so overwhelmed and they're so busy. They see their financial statements, and that's in isolation. They see one financial statement. How are you, if you see that the elevator service contract is $3,000 per month, how would you know if that's high or low? You don't.
Hmm.
So you can go out and the property manager can get alternative bids, but you still don't know if it's high or low. So what we did was that we put together a benchmark and now that is hundreds of buildings. It wasn't initially hundreds of buildings and thousands of data points. So we know, based on these buildings, their elevators, we know if that is high or low.
well, that's helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
And
really
that is
helpful.
something that we have built over time, and that continues. Each time we get a new client, we add that, so that database is getting bigger and bigger.
I don't know why I was just thinking. So we, this is somewhat related. We have a chimney. We just got a new roof on our house, and but the chimney needs work.
Yeah.
And we we started the process, and we got like one bid for like 1,600 to do some tuck pointing, and then the next contractor that came to look at it, it was like 8,000 or 9,000. He was just going to knock it down and rebuild. Like, that was the only thing they were going to. That was the option. So of course we have to bring some more people in, figure out what's going on here, because we want it done right. We'll pay the money, but we want it done right.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing I imagine with buildings and stuff. And then it's a pain because you just said that they don't have time, and now they got to bring in all these people and get multiple bids. But having
Yeah.
something like you have there sounds like the sweet spot where now you have something to reference and trust.
And that is also, so you don't know if the $1,800 one, you don't know the quality of their work, and you
Mhm.
don't know the $8,000. You don't know the quality of their work too. We often have, if the engineer sends it out to bid, we can have a facade repair, so brick facades, and the repairs are anywhere from 300,000 to 1.5 million. So very
Oh,
similar ratios,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And all of those costs are then passed on to the owners in the building. And so it's kind of like a miniature government. The board is the government, but everybody
Right.
pays for it.
Yeah.
Taxpayer money.
Yeah.
You just pass it on. You have more expenses. You pass it on. So, but in your case, so you don't know the quality of those. what we do is, so let's say that we work with a $1,800 guy. We said, let's give him a shot. Let's bring him in and let's see how it goes. And then it turns out that he does a fantastic job. We then add him to our database. So the
Nice.
next time, and you, Matt, you were super happy. They did a fantastic job and it seems good and you couldn't be happier. So now we add that to our database. And that's what we do with the $300,000 facade repairs.
Mhm.
And then we have that name. So when we have a similar work for similar, that requires similar qualifications, we will bring that person in. Mhm. And
Very
we
good.
remember the one who quoted us 8,000. We remember that person and we can have them on our list. In some cases we do or don't. And if we come across them again, or if the board or the property manager said, why don't we send it to them? We have very good. Then we know already, we have a little bit of, it's kind of like when you were when we both went back to school and you have the answer in the back, it's much easier to
Yeah. Right.
get there.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. So that's a lot of value. And so so from there, so you started this on the side, you're building it, and you're kind of figuring this stuff out along the way, and you're building this database of people and all this stuff. Along there, where did the book fit in? Did you write the book
I
along
wrote,
that journey? Where does
no,
that book go?
that comes in later.
Oh, that
So
comes
what
in
happened
later.
was that, so in 2019, we made a decision. We need to close our financial advisory business and focus on this.
Okay. Okay. So you reached a point, you've been doing this on the side, you reached a point either revenue wise or just you're ready to commit to it.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we said, okay, so I need a business consultant. So I started working with a business coach. So I started working with a business coach at the same time. So we kind of, that whole shift where we took it to the next level was
Mm,
2019-20.
okay.
So started working with a business coach initially for my branding and our business branding. And she said, you need to be more active on LinkedIn. I said, how do I do that? She said, you hire a LinkedIn coach. So I started working with a LinkedIn coach. And then a LinkedIn coach who we still work with, my LinkedIn coach, he said to me, you need to be more on video. I said, how do I do that? He said, you hire a speaking coach. So I hired a speaking coach. And then she and the business coach said, you need to write a book. And I said, what do I write about? And, all of these doubts, you're kind of like, oh, who has time for that? And whatever.
Yeah.
And so then I had that idea after the condo collapse happened in Surfside, Florida. So the
Mm,
following year,
mm,
I wrote a book. And at that time, I had working with a speaking coach enough that she said, why don't you choose a venue? What type of venue are you more comfortable with? Are you comfortable in a conference room, speaking in a conference room in front of a small group, a larger group, or Yankee Stadium? I said,
mm.
none of the above. And she said, how about podcasts? I said, I can do that.
There you go. It's a much more, different kind of setting than that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So
and
I
here you are.
started writing the book and being on podcasts because now I needed to promote my book. So
Right.
I had my book. I said I'm going to start writing it on April 1st, 2022.
Okay.
So January 1st, 2022, I focus on one thing each month. That's my thing.
No, that's a good thing, right? And break it into small.
So I
Yeah.
started in January on my podcast. So I started talking about that I'm writing a book. It's coming out later this year. And they went like, "Oh, what's the name?" Oh, I don't have a name. I didn't have I didn't have a word yet.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
And
That's actually a really good lesson. I mean, you don't have to. You can start promoting something before you have it.
Yeah.
You can
So I
start.
started promoting my book on the podcast, and it was easier to get onto podcasts when I had a book.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the book came out, the book launch was in October of 2022. And it's not doing as well as Tony Robbins's books, but it is,
That's
it's
a
a
high
good
bar.
business. Yes.
That's like
But
me
it's
trying to
done
be
pretty
Gary
well.
Vee out there.
I
I'm
know.
not quite as good as Gary Vee yet, but in my little niche, I am. I'm the
Yet.
Gary Vee in my niche.
Yet. Yet. I
Right.
love that word. I love that
Yet.
word. It's my
Yes.
favorite word.
Yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
gotta. Interest. Well, first of all, okay, a couple things I want to dig into. Because I'm always interested in the building, but also like just coaches in general. I don't know. I think, some people have different views of coaches, but it sounds like you had a pretty positive, even though you kept getting sent to new coaches. What is your relationship with coaches? Like, it sounds like you have a positive view on having coaches to help you get to the next level or to in specialized areas you want to learn. Why do you do that instead of maybe reading a book or figuring it out yourself?
I I feel so. I started listening to all of these positive reinforcement books and all of this self-help stuff
Right, right.
many, many, many years ago when I was in
Yeah.
finance. So I had been doing that for a long time, and I had heard people who had very good who had great success with working with coaches, but
Hmm.
I had never found the coach that made it clear to me that it was a good fit.
Mm.
And so I joined this coaching program, and it was an online coaching program, and it started right around COVID in March of 2020.
Okay.
Maybe they had launched it a little bit earlier, but that's when I found it.
Hmm.
And it was a whole coaching program. So they had many different coaches for many different things. I worked with the main coach, with the founder, but they had mindset coaches, they had health coaches, um, s- they had many different coaches in the same program, so you could partake in many, and it was just a good fit. And she was really good. She was very, very good. She was a growth mind. Yeah. So I worked with them for a long time, and she's the one who directed me to these other. And then I took all the courses, and I felt that it was time for me to move on.
Yeah.
But I worked with them for a few years, and my LinkedIn coach I'm still working with, not in
Mm.
the same capacity as I did in the beginning, but
Hmm.
I'm still with his program.
Right.
And my speaking coach, I can't give up because I just love that woman. She made me be able to speak.
That's great. No,
Yeah.
that's good. I mean, it's interesting because, like I'm a big believer in lifetime learning. You're always learning and you're always, there's always room to improve. All of us have, even no matter how you think of yourself, you have flaws. You have areas you could get better at. But here you are, you've had this amazing life and you have, master degrees and college and also just a lot of experience in finance and building a business. You've done all this stuff, yet you're still like, I need a coach because I need to do this thing or I want to improve this area.
But don't you think, and so you can do it by yourself, but it's going to take you longer.
Right.
Right? So it's like a digital marketing agency, for instance. Can I learn how to do marketing myself? Absolutely. Right? But if I have, and my LinkedIn coach, actually, for full disclosure, is a digital marketing agency.
Hmm.
And he too wants to be like Gary Vee. It's my understanding. I've heard.
Yeah.
But so they do our digital marketing part. So can we learn how to do it? Sure, we probably could. Do
Right.
we Is that something that we should be specializing in? Probably not. I mean, a lot of people, they hire consultants or coaches to either teach people to do it themselves or to consult people on how to do it for them. So
Yeah.
I just feel, and we're consultants. So obviously, boards who hire us, they understand the benefit of not trying to figure it out for themselves, but to hire us to do it, similar to companies hire you to do digital marketing. And I'm not trying to, because they feel that someone else would do it better.
Right. No, it'll totally make sense. You outsource certain things. You're not going to do it all yourself, and you're not going. And like you said, it shortcuts the learning as well. And what I think is, I kind of have a pro coach probably view. If it's, I mean, there's coaches out there that shouldn't be coaching, but there's if you get the good coach and you're referred to a good coach or whatever, however that happens, I mean, they are also going to be able to hopefully customize kind of, they're going to first understand you and what you're actually trying to achieve and everything. Isn't that, rather than taking a random course or something, or a book that's speaking generally about stuff, they'll be able to design something for you or guide you. That's cool. And then the book itself, did you enjoy that writing, and would you write another book?
I enjoyed writing the book. The big, the biggest thing was actually not writing the book. So I joined a writer circle, and there were,
of course.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, I could do it myself, or I can get the input of other people who've done it before.
There you
And
go.
we had anything from, we had one person who hadn't even, was like me, she had never written anything in her life. And we had one person who'd been writing the same book for the last 10 years, and she just never got around to finishing it. And we had a Pulitzer Prize winning author in the room. So a few different, they're from all kinds of, and one person, she had written like 5 books. But all the ones who were published authors, they said, you need to get an editor. And when you decide on your editor, they are so backed up because everybody and their mother is trying to write a book now with with self-publishing. So everybody's writing. So you need to hire them early. And the 2 of them that had the most experience writing, they gave me a name of an editor. So I started writing on April 1st. I had already hired the editor team. It was a whole editing team. And I had already had the consultation, the onboarding consultation with them in February or March. So they helped me. And that is something that I really recommend, because they guided me. They said, we want you to write based on the size of the book and the how big you want the book and your topic. We recommend it to be, so you need to write 60,000 words. And I did. And we had already scheduled that they were going to start the editing on July 1st. And which meant that we knew that it would be launched in October, middle of October.
Okay.
It was actually harder to work with the editor on getting it edited. That took more effort than writing the book.
Than the actual writing. Interesting.
Yeah. It's quite possible that I will write another one, but I'm good with this now, and I'm still handing it out right and left, and people are still buying. I have about 2 purchasers per day on average.
Hey, it's enough. But you're getting the word out, and so I just am fascinated by that. I feel like I have a book in me. Eventually, I have a few ideas there, but it's always fascinating to me, because I think that's, and I've done some writing, but in the past, like guides and reports and or special report. Like I used to do internet marketing stuff back in the day, and had ebooks and stuff, training programs, all that kind of stuff. But never like a more personal book, like a book. Like and publishing wasn't like that 20 years ago either, the way it is today. But it sounds like you might do it someday, but your book is fulfilling what you wanted to get out of it. What does it do for you? Like somebody that's interested in writing a book, like what is it? Is it build your authority?
Builds authority.
Gets you on podcasts. It
gets me on podcasts.
Okay.
Gets me speaking engagements. makes me, it builds trust. I mean, hey,
Okay.
she wrote a
Right.
book.
Yeah. She must know what she's doing. You can trust her.
And
Yeah.
it's the biggest business card if you write about something related to
Yeah.
your business. It's the biggest business card you can ever have.
Sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And
And so,
I have boards who one board member wants to hire us, and then the rest of the board says, "Oh, we don't need them. We can figure it out ourselves."
yeah.
And then I'll take the book and I'll send it to them, and then 3 weeks later, they'll call and they said, "Oh, we have now decided we're changing our minds." And,
Nice. Okay. And open some doors or open some minds.
mhm.
So the book itself, I think you told me, I don't think you told me, maybe this was on our previous intro call or whatever, that you originally were going to focus just on New York, but you were convinced, somebody convinced you like, wait, there's a much larger market out there for you.
That's exactly it. That was
Yeah.
my editing team.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the intro call, they said, "What are you trying to accomplish?" I said, "I'm trying to accomplish that every single New York City co-op and condo board reads my book and uses that as a guide
Right.
on how to learn how it works and how
Hmm.
to, yeah." So, and they said, "Why are you limiting it to New York? There's 66 million Americans who live in an HOA." And I'm like, "Oh, let's write for
It's like,
them."
why didn't I
Yeah.
think of that? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of it is, and that could be a second book that is more for everyone because there are certain parts of it. I specifically say that this is for New York City co-ops and condos,
Okay.
but a lot of the stuff in the book also applies to any co-op or
Sure.
any HOA throughout the nation.
Sure. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
so the book itself is targeted to that's what the book's about. It's to help somebody in that situation.
Yeah.
So good. And it's doing well. It's out there. It's on Amazon. It's easy to publish these days. You got it out there. If somebody wants to like get that book, if they're interested and they're one of those 66 million people that oh, we're going to show it on camera, the Living the High Life.
Yeah.
And where can
Living
they,
the high life.
and they can get that on Amazon. They can get that. Do you have a website?
Yes, we have a website. It's the Folson Group.com, TheFolson Group.com. We get a lot of M's that are no good. And the first chapter is free to
Oh,
download on our
nice.
website. And it also comes with a workbook with lots of templates that HOA boards can use freely. And that's also available on the same website.
So you have so you have the workbooks or whatever. So you have the book so somebody can read the first chapter and get hooked
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get the rest of it. And then you got stuff for them to do. And then do you work with organizations or I mean, you're doing the consulting piece as well. So if somebody
We do.
reads the book, they want more help or they want to bring you in, they can.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
do consulting, cost reduction. We do consulting like strategic advisory, setting
Uh-huh.
boards up. We have an educational course. We have um, we have a property management search service. So very
Mm,
often HOA boards, they're sick and tired of their property manager.
yeah.
We have a full turnkey transition management where we do the search, we oversee the transition, and we stay on for support to make sure so that it's not like just a honeymoon very good in the beginning.
Mhm.
So we stay on for support. So if it's never actually happened, but at one point it will probably happen that they don't
Yeah.
like them. 3 months
Right.
later, they can call us as opposed to, and then we're kind of the mediator as opposed to calling the property. You know how when you want to fire someone, you just want to wait and wait and wait and wait, and then you like.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we're there so that they can call us and we can mediate. And these
Gotcha.
are their complaints, and this is what we need to do to fix this. Uh huh.
Wow. Feels like
Yeah.
you've covered all the bases. This is
all the
good.
bases. And
And
you know what we forgot to talk about? How we scaled. So I know that you
okay,
spoke with, now I can't remember her first name, last name was Foley,
Amy.
in
Yeah.
your Amy Foley, how you talked about scaling
Yeah.
and that AI has been so instrumental in
Oh,
an automation, being able to get my husband and I constant focus on speaking with board members. So all of our backend, we use. I know I heard that you use HubSpot. We use Go High Level, which is
go high level. Yeah, it's
simple. Yeah,
popular. Yeah.
yeah. So we use Go High Level, and we use outsource. We have two full-time VAs, and they specialize in Go High Level, automation, and AI.
Very nice. Yeah, that's a good
And
combination.
yeah, so they have set all of this up for us, and they're the ones who pings us and say, I have a meeting at 12 o'clock. They're the ones who say, you forgot to reach out to this person, you forgot to, and they set up all of our systems so that we can focus on speaking with board members.
Love it.
Yeah,
No, that's great to have a system like that underlying everything that supports you and keeps you on track, and you just wake up every day and
yeah,
you look at something and like, that's what I'm doing today.
yes.
I'm showing up for a podcast at X time, talking to
Mm,
Matt today.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
so much
Yeah.
fun.
So I mean, yeah. So AI has been a positive experience for you.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what do you feel that it, so sometimes I say, AI has increased my productivity, my own productivity by 10x, but it's probably 100x. I mean, we can create a graphic now in like 2 seconds in
Yeah.
Chat GPT. We just talk,
Insane.
and I mean, it's right.
Yeah.
And a year ago, that was not the case, but today that's the case. I mean, you can create this infographic, and it used to be that you used to be very good at prompting. Nowadays, you just say, "Oh, create a graphic about."
Right. There was a whole industry around prompt engineering for a while. For all books and
Yes.
training programs. Now you just talk to it like we're
Eh,
talking. Yeah,
yeah,
it'll
and
figure it
I
out.
mean, and people said in the beginning, "Oh, they will never know you." Listen, it knows me so well that if I'm out biking on Park Avenue on a city bike, I will say, w- write something what I did today. And it will tell me a whole story about what I did today. And it might not be true, but it could be true.
Right. It was in the neighborhood of what I probably would have been doing. Yeah,
And it really,
that's
I
true.
mean, it's really memorized and knows what I do and what I likely would do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, work with it every day. I don't have a choice on the tech side, on the web development side and coding side of things. I mean, it's my engineer now. I just guide through my life but also on the business side, AI systems are everything for me.
And
Yeah.
then if you think about it, so if I'm one person and now the only thing I can limit is that I can only speak with X amount of people in X amount of minutes.
Hmm.
But all the other stuff is 100-fold.
Yeah.
But we're four full-time people. That's, I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Truly. Truly.
Mhm.
There's so much more you can, yeah, there's only so many, okay, you can scale so many different things. I mean, you have to still you're only human. You can only do so much. I mean, it wants you to do like, mine would want me to do way more than I'm doing now. But I'm like, I'm only human. I keep telling it in my, no, just kidding. But that's awesome. That's awesome. And so that's something that's kind of behind the scenes too, and helping you manage your things, and things are scaling up. And so you're feeling good about the future. You're dude. You got any other big plans or any big adventures in front of you? Or you're just going to do this and keep doing what you're doing?
Keep doing what we're doing. We're going to speak with more boards and, but I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but it doesn't. It sounds like your market is wide open. Like there's a lot
yeah,
of people that need
yeah.
and you're
And I
just,
mean, we can scale in the rest of the country,
yeah,
but there. there's still a huge market in New
Yeah.
York.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if somebody wants to also reach out to you, find you on the World Wide Web, you hang out on LinkedIn, anywhere else?
Everywhere.
You're on TikTok?
I am.
Are you? Good. I used
Yeah.
to be. I was on TikTok for a little while. I gave it up though,
You
real
did.
early on. Yeah. I like
Yeah.
me. It was more about I got into the humor and lip syncing and all that stuff. This is back in like 2018, 19 when it first came out. I had like 5,000 people following me for a while, and then
No,
but
I
then
have a
one
few.
day, but then one day I said, podcasting. Let's give that up. Let's take life more seriously. And here I am, 5.5 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. I could talk to you all day. We'll have you back maybe again someday to talk. There's so much more we could probably talk about. But for now, Tina, thanks for joining us. Until next time.
Thank you very much for having me, Matt.
You bet. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And UnifiedLabs.ai is where we explore smart, practical ways to integrate AI directly into your website and e-commerce flows. From intelligent chatbots to marketing automation to back-end reporting, all with a strong focus on user experience and making your systems work smarter. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with someone who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building smarter, bolder, and with purpose.